Hello fellow fish nerds and happy Fry Friday to you. In this video there will actually be fry. New fry I've never had before in any of my videos. I've never bred these fish successfully ever before. And I use the term breeding very loosely. I'll explain why later on. Anyways, you see here one of my 100-gallon stock tubs. I have two of them. This one has water hyacinth, obviously, and goldfish. One actual goldfish and a bunch of, I think they're black moor goldfish. Also have some hornwort in there, of course. And these I actually got at the local fish club auction. They were being sold as cichlid food, so I bought them. You'll see there's a bunch of the dark ones. You can't see them very well because they're dark. At my local fish club auction, they'd be sold as cichlid food, so I brought them home, raised them up a little bit. Once it got to somewhat warm enough, I brought them outside, and they've been doing awesome. Been growing like crazy. I'll feed them later on. You'll see that maybe later on, maybe in a later video. But anyways, so this is how originally my tubs were, which I'll show you those in just a minute. Actually, I'll show it to you right now. Sit tight. So my tubs originally looked like this. Rope-handled tubs, the 17-gallon rope-handled tubs I get from Walmart. But the difference was they had plants on the top of them. This one does not. This one is one of my mosquito harvesting tubs that I actually just need to dump it up. You see it's full of tannins. It sat over the winter. Just soaking up tannins, but the problem is that these are mostly sweet gum leaves, not oak leaves, which have the actual tannins that we want. So this is how they sat. The problem is that open water makes it accessible for dragonflies to dip their tails in the water and lay eggs, and then therefore turn into dragonfly larvae. And dragonfly larvae, as we know, will eat baby fish. But we don't like that. The other problem is that you hear a chorus of tree frogs. I mean, just there's a lot of them. Okay, I was back here one night working on them on the tubs, and I caught 4 just to get them out of my tubs. It was crazy. Okay. Problem is the tree frogs, I know for a fact, devoured 95% of what was inside of a tub of guppies. Luckily, it was just kind of a mud guppy, but a little bit nicer, I guess. It was my type of guppy that the female had 60 fry in one drop, and the tree frog ate most of them. I've seen like 1 or 2 swimming around still, but we'll see how many of them survived. A few days later, I saw tiny, super tiny, recently hatched tadpoles. That's how I knew it was the tree frog and not dragonfly larvae, or I also knew when that they just died. It was a tree frog. So at that time I realized I had to go to war on these tree frogs in a safe way that does not harm the tree frogs. So first thing I got and tried was this netting over here. It's like 1-inch netting. I had it laying around in my shed. I put it across the tubs originally, just it gets caught on everything. Oh shoot, there goes a clip. Anyways, laid it across the tubs, obviously flat, and I'll fix it later. And I realized I saw a tree frog crawling across it. That tree frog is small enough to fit in the holes still, and then it'd be trapped inside basically and wouldn't get out. So it would just eat my fish and my fry until its belly just basically exploded, or until all my fish were gone. So I couldn't have that. So luckily I already also had some smaller square netting. This stuff right here, the black stuff, it's I think 5/8 of an inch is the size of it, and the tree frogs are not able to fit in that. And then obviously you see I secured it on there with fancy binder clips. I got them from Walmart. So that's how they're secured on there. You also see the next part was that I know that I'm lazy and forgetful, and if it takes a lot of effort to take off the binder clip, remove the netting, swirl around a bunch of the plants to put some food in there, then I'm not going to do it as often as what I should. So I made these PVC feeding tubes like I've shown in a previous video, and I installed them on most of my tubs so far. I'll have to buy some more T-pieces to put them on the rest of my tubs, but This way I just drop the food in there, goes straight down through the plants. The fish know where to get the food from. I can also squirt the mosquito larvae through the tube with my turkey baster, which is across the driveway right now. And also this food grinder fits in there quite nicely, as you see demonstrated right here. And the food goes right down there. Fish eat much easier, much more likely for me to feed them. Also easier for my daughter to feed them too. She can just drop the food down in the tube. Fish get fed. Mosquito larvae can go in there, and tree frogs hopefully cannot fit in there. That's a 1/2 inch, so I'm sure they could probably tightly squeeze, but I doubt they will. So let's hope they can't. So one of the problems with this netting, I will say, is that it gets caught on everything. Oh my gosh! I'll put a that's not good. I'll put a link to it down in the description if you do want to check it out yourself. But just trust me, it gets caught on everything. I mean, it gets caught on itself. It gets caught on the binder clips, obviously. It's caught on my bench that I was working on. It gets caught on I mean, it's ridiculous how much stuff it gets caught on. So let's tighten that up a little bit. There, that should be better right there. So that's my, at least this year's solution to the problem of tree frogs, dragonfly larvae, or as Michael from Michael's Fish Room called it, his alien capturing device, or I think it's better to call it the shoot, what is it? Anyways, something like that. I'll have to go look at the comment I made on his video, and that's what it was. So that's the solution. It also makes it easier for me to feed them. And you see here is one of my other, there's a little bit easier to see, mosquito larva harvesting tubs. Just take a net and scoop them out and put them into a deli cup filled with water, and then suck them up with a turkey baster and feed them to the fish by sticking them down this tube right here. So, alright, stay tuned for the next part of the video, the actual fry, the super exciting, successful part of my summer tubbin, a first for me ever. So stay tuned. I'll see you there.
It's Mr. Science Geek. I hope my tanks don't leak. If it's information that you seek, be sure to tune in each week. In my videos, take a peek. My singing and my jokes really read.
So I was looking for these, the tadpoles, to catch them and feed them to my goldfish in this stock tub. There's one right there. That's the easiest one to see. That one was actually a surprise from last year. I didn't even know I had in the tub. It survived over the winter. Anyways, I feed the tadpoles the goldfish. These are tadpoles of tree frogs, which I'll try to record some audio later on, at least, of the tree frogs in my area, but it's like a freaking rainforest. Alright, I think you can barely see some shadows moving under the water. There's one right there next to two. It's just a darn glare, but I mean, it's daytime, so I mean, the sun's going down, but can't really turn the lights off to help with the glare, you know. And I'm coming out here at nighttime. Couldn't see anything, obviously, but there are white cloud fry. Oh, I wish there's a way. There we go. I think if I get the camera right over them and you see my, there we go. That is a white cloud fry. There are some that are about this, the biggest ones in here are about the size of a guppy fry. Wish you could see them better, just the glare. Darker area, but anyways, the biggest ones are about the size of a guppy fry, and the smallest one, I would guess, are about a week old or less. See if we can find some in this area, because usually a few of them will hang out on these edges over here. Oh, there's a tadpole. There's an adult. There's my reflection. That's not what we're looking for. Trying to cover up the glare. There you go. See some shadows moving? Those are the white cloud fry. And honestly, the exciting part for me, there's a really super baby one in there. All that movement are all white cloud fry. None of those are tadpoles. The exciting part for me is that these are honestly the first egg scatterers I've ever spawned. And I use that term very loosely because I didn't do anything. I put them in this tub. It's a 100-gallon stock tub outside my driveway. It gets like a few hours of midday sun, mostly morning sun, and about 1:30 or so in the afternoon, this is in the shade. And all that I've actively done in this pond tub is, when there's a lot of pollen stuff falling, I scooped it out with a pool net. But most recently, all I've done is feed them, which I'll put that in the next part of the video so you can see them feeding. You can at least see the adults feeding, and I feed them pellet food ground up in my fingers, and also my little food grinder, like I showed in a previous week's video. But also, usually about once a day, I feed them some mosquito larvae, and I think that's been the key, is live foods. It's just like what everybody says. It's nothing new on my video or my channel, but let's get more of those fry in there. But it's the mosquito larvae that I think have been the key. And the sunlight and the rain, because it's rained every once in a while, much better than last year. So I think that's been the key. So I'm gonna try, oh, there's a really big one. There's no way I can get that on camera. But I think I'm gonna try and breed some other egg scatters. So there's a lot of fry right there. But I think I'm gonna try and breed some other egg scatterers in this tub. So be sure to stay tuned to see what egg scatterers I do breed. So, all right, let me try and get some mosquito larvae to feed them. Maybe some pellets too. All right, see you in a bit. So I finally got smart and I figured a way to show you some of the fry. I think these are probably about a week, maybe 2 weeks old. There's 3 fry in here, seeing this one around, so pretty excited. Proof that I actually have white cloud fry. Super exciting. First ever for me. It's Mr. Science Geek, first time. You're seeing it here, folks. Of course, where else would you see Mr. Science Geek first? Anyways, here they are. There's some bigger ones in there, some smaller ones in there, but this is probably about in the middle. My other mosquito harvesting tubs, put in there, switch it around, just figure eights, go high, go low, bring it up. The squiggles down there are mosquito larvae. We'll put in the cup, we'll find what it is. From that super professional scoop, this is what I got from one scoop. Not too bad. Good amount to feed to one type of fish, I think. Alright, let's go back for some more. And then what you'll see next is me actually feed them to the fish. Stay tuned. Alright, so here we have some mosquito larvae, a turkey baster, get some larvae in this scoop, plug up the end, go take it over to my white cloud tub. I usually feed them over the same area, but I don't usually see a lot of fry. And they've gotten to the point where whenever they feel water coming down in there, they think there's mosquito larvae. Give it a minute, see adults come up and start breaking the surface a little bit. Not like bass jumping or anything, but you'll see some movement. Or they'll prove me wrong. Alright, was that movement? Yeah, there we go. They're starting to hit the surface now. Those birds you hear, by the way, are cardinals. The state bird of like a bajillion states. I know us and Ohio and a few others. But yeah, that's what you're hearing. There's an adult right there over the piece of driftwood I'm trying to get to sink, but it looks like it's never going to happen. Anyways, they're in there. There's some movement finally. They're in there. They're, I guess they're being camera shy. Although early when I was pouring some water back in there, the fry there cleanser was kind of concerning. But, yeah, that's the exciting feeding of the white clouds. Next, I'm going to put some of that netting over this tub to keep it safe because the water lettuce doesn't really bloom. Obviously, Rickia doesn't bloom, nor does Java fern. So I'm not going to worry about that blooming too much. So we'll keep the frogs out and dragonfly larvae out. The goldfish tub has hyacinth. That does bloom. It's also above the edge of the... So here's level with the edge, and look at the plant I'm knocking, so the net would push them down. Also, they will possibly bloom. And I'm not worried about tree frogs eating these goldfish, or really any of the goldfish, and they aren't of breeding size yet, so I don't think there will be any fry for the frogs to eat. So, and honestly, the frogs will come lay their eggs in here, give them a place to spawn, and fish will take care of some of the tadpole population. Some will survive. Survival of the fittest. Natural selection in action in my backyard. There's the orange one, the gold one. So, anyways, that's the feeding. I'll probably get some feeding of pellet food in the next clip, so stay tuned. So I decided to use the fish food grinder from a previous video from a few weeks ago, actually, because my fingers are still too wet to feed or to grind up the pellets in my fingers. But there's some pellets for the adults to eat, some probably even small enough for some of the larger fry to eat. We'll see if they break the surface for these. Oh, there we go. Looks like that got them a little more active. There's some movement. There's some more movement. They're breaking the surface now. So there we go. They're finally proved me right this time. It's also getting dark, so they're starting to calm down, starting to settle in for the night. Is there a frog I see? No, it's a leaf. Squirrel. But anyways, let's go feed the goldfish. Alright, here I have the goldfish tub once again. I usually feed them over in this area over here, but since I see the orange one over here, I'll give them a few drops. I don't crush them up for them. His mouth is big enough to get just the regular size. This is the tetra granules. These goldfish are big enough to eat the granules full size. Obviously they like them. They're able to eat them. I sprinkle some over here. There's some movement over here too. A lot more movement right here. But yeah, so pretty exciting. Probably a lot better video in the daytime when they're more active. And it also just rains, so the water will get cooler, but not too cold for the goldfish or the white clouds, but the other fish perhaps. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the hope you got a few tips and learned a few things. Hope you enjoyed the first ever egg scatterer fry on my channel here, and my feeding of mosquito larvae, because hey, we all love fewer mosquitoes in this world. My daughter does. She even gets the fact that, hey, we feed the fish baby mosquitoes and there's less mosquitoes in the world. Hopefully. That fish is getting fat. Maybe it's a female with eggs. Yeah, that one's fat. Been eating a lot of tadpoles and fish food and mosquito larvae. But anyways, hope you enjoy that. So until next week, stay tuned and stay fishy, people.